Hey everybody, welcome to Life at Sunny Lee. And it's the end of the year, beginning of a new one. Can you believe another trip around the sun? And it's been a difficult year at times. We had a lot of disappointments and a lot of good things. But one thing that most people do, at least I do at the end of the year, is I journal during the year. Every day I write down, well, I don't write, I type it on the computer. And then at the end of the year, I read all the entries and I highlight them and I kind of make a summary of the year. And then I go through that and I make my Christmas letter. And it was kind of hard getting the Christmas letter done this year with all the grief that I'm going through. But I did manage to get it done. And I managed to get the cards out and the letter out. But what I didn't do was share it with you, with my YouTube family. And I usually try to do that. So since it's the end of the year, and it's time to reflect on what type of year you had, whether it was good or bad, I will let you hear my so-called Christmas letter. And I will stop in places and explain some things I couldn't put in the letter because basically the letter had to be a certain size. It couldn't be a book. So this is my end of the year summary of the year. It's been a bittersweet year. We've had lots of blessings and our shares of griefs and disappointments. We've been going to the gym 3 times a week until November. And then we went and saw lots of different type of movies, which I gave you reviews on. I joined a new church group that our church had made. And now this is a biggie for me because I am not an outgoing person. I used to be, but I've been hurt by so many people, like most people. You put your trust in a person and you find out that they're not as trustworthy as you hoped. And so I've been hurt by a lot of different people. So I'm very, very cautious about making new friends. And I've never really been an outgoing person. I can get up and speak in front of a group of people with no problem. It's just on individual one-on-one connections that I'm not really that great on. Yeah. So joining a new church group is a big one for me. We went over and saw the boys a couple times, and the boys have come over here a few times. 2 of the oldest and the middle son had to have wisdom teeth removed this year. So that was an exciting time. January, we had to get new tires for the Ford Fiesta. And I started deep cleaning the house. And this included Doug's room, the sunroom, the dining room, the nook and the kitchen, and the office and the front room. I didn't get up the upstairs done. Shoes, our 15-year-old German Shepherd was given a new antibiotic for her sores that she had on her rear and for her UTIs. And it turned out that she would be on some type of medicine for the rest of her life. She was starting to experience great difficulties in walking, and she needed assistance to get outside at the time. And this was on top of the wheelchair. I mean, we knew she was having trouble with that, but she was getting to the point where she would need trouble just getting to the wheelchair. I truly do not like winter. I do not like the ice. I do not like the snow. I do not like the extra work that it requires. And that's what we've been doing lately, is getting ready for winter. But I do like the wood stove that we have upstairs. And especially since our geothermal unit was acting up last winter. And my husband had to replace the elements in the water heater in the basement so we could have hot water even. And I started the glow room. And if you've been following this for a while, you know the glow room is what we call the room that I grow the seedlings in. And we call it the glow room because when all the lights are on, that room glows. So I started that during the 3rd week of January. And I sowed a bunch of petunias and patience, pansies and broccoli and cabbage and Brussels sprouts in there and some onions. So that was the beginning of the seedling plants. I don't do the tomatoes until February, and then from then on it's just whatever I have room for, I grow. We had many different family meals with families and friends. We went and met them for lunch or for dinner. So we were on the road quite a bit. Proved to be the perfect time to work on different cross-stitching projects. So I got like 3 or 4 cross-stitching projects finished, but I haven't finished them, if you know what I mean. They're all the cross-working parts done, but I haven't decided whether to make pillows out of them or to put them in frames or what to do with the finished project. So it's just a project to do. February was filled with routine medical exams and tests and visits. And all my tests came back okay without any major worries. I do have to take a weekly bone density pill, but this is mainly a preventive since the bones are starting to lose calcium. And the vet's visits became a monthly thing. Between shoes suffering with so many UTIs and having trouble walking, and the cats did not help with the medicine bill since a lot of them had gotten sick. So I had to end up getting the cats vaccinated for rabies. They had not been vaccinated for about 2 years, so I had to get them up to date on their shots. And that proved to be a little bit difficult because I had 12 cats at the time. And I didn't want to take all 12 of them to the vet because that gets kind of expensive. So I found out that I could take them to Tractor Supply. So the healthier ones went to Tractor Supply. The ones that were on the more puny side that needed to be checked and make sure they were okay, they went to the vet. And we found out that they all had ear mites, so I had to treat them all for ear mites. They all had to be wormed, so I had to treat them all for worms. And that proved to be kind of difficult because you have to weigh each cat to give them the right amount of worming medicine. And I also informed the vet that I cannot take any more strays in. So don't call me. Don't say I have a stray cat. I have the kittens I need you to help with. I'm not taking any more cats in. I'm down to 10, and that is my maximum. 12 is just too many. I couldn't handle them. We started taking butterscotch. We started taking the cats to the vets in February, 2nd of February. We got Butterscotch and Little Gray were the first 2 I took. And then Trouble and Monkey Blue, I made appointments with the vets because Monkey Blue was having some type of reaction. And it turned out it was a reaction to fleas. And so I had to figure out a way to get all of them not vaccinated, but with flea treatment. And the vet suggested Frontline and or another Advantage, I think it was. I tried the Frontline, was not impressed with it. In fact, I think I kind of got scared out of it because the one cat I gave it to, well, both cats I gave it to became sick. And one of them actually got to the point where it cost a bunch of money to try to save it. It was in the vet hospital overnight. And it managed to live for another month after its hospital stay, and then it died. And the other one pulled through. But I just was literally at the Frontline. So I've got packages for 10 cats Frontline, or not keep, yeah, I think 10, that I will never use. That's just sitting in there. But I did find that the flea collars work really nice. They're expensive to buy, but they're good for 8 months. So by the time I calculated 8 months worth of Frontline for these cats, it was cheaper to buy the collars. And also, since they all sleep together at night in their crates, I could find that if I put the collar on one cat per crate, it took care of the fleas on the other cats because they were all together at night. So I only have to treat half the cats for collars. So that saved me quite a bit of money that way. Blinky Blue still needs to get his rabies shot, because he was allergic to the fleas, and they had to give him a shot. And the shot that they gave him could not be given with the rabies shot. And I never did get him back to the vet for his rabies shot. So I may have to start that process again and get them all the rabies shots for this year. And let's see what else. Oh, it's time to spray the fruit trees and clean out the low greenhouse and sow some kale and Swiss chard and some spinach into the greenhouse. Also prune the trees, the regular trees, get those pruned up, and prune up the blackberries. Had to do that. And of course, in February I sowed the peppers and the tomatoes and some herbs. And we started cleaning out the garage, and we had to replace the hot water heater that was in the basement. And the frost-free water faucet behind the garage was leaking, and we had to replace it. So that was more that we had to do. March was very, very full of projects. Gardening and some bad times were also mixed in that month. Bill spent 3 days at Purdue for the road school. And he spent a lot of time this month installing a second sump pump in the basement and a pit for that sump pump to be in. So that meant a lot of dust and stuff in the house, extra cleaning in the house. And I had a friend who asked me to make a memorial mosaic stepping stone for her, because she had lost her great-grandchild and wanted a little stone for it. So I worked on that and got that made for her. And our nephew, Bill's nephew, he lost his wife. And my best friend was in a very bad accident that meant she had to be airlifted to the hospital and spent some time in the hospital. And half the cats were on medicine that month, and of course Princess did not make it. She was hospitalized overnight but died a month later. Then my washing machine started going out, so laundry was taking twice as long to do, and I had twice as much of it because shoes was deteriorating to the point where she was having accidents in her house, and we had 2 sets of pee pads all over the front room, and those had to be washed every day, so I could have one clean set to put down for the next day. So laundry's taken a lot of time. We did go to the church group. We had a fun time there playing games, and we went to the Purdue game day and watched Purdue play. And we went out with dinner with Sean, and Doug came over and visited a few times. It was a fun month as well as a sad month. April provided to be another expensive month. We had to purchase the new washing machine, had to get a new bed for shoes, again because I was having to wash the cover, so she was needing a bed each time because she was having more and more trouble getting up. And there were orthopedic beds that had the covers over them, but I had to keep the covers over them, and I had to wash the cover every day. So I had to get another bed for her. And I had to reorder another box of rats for Artie, the snake. And he's a little ball python. And we finally finished installing the drip irrigation system in all 3 of the greenhouses, and the pumpkin patch, and the tomato trellis. So the irrigation system was in place. Prince got his leg caught in his crate as one of the other cats, and my hand got in the way, and I got bit like 3 times on my hand, deep scratches. End up going to the urgent care, and I went to both urgent cares. The first urgent care said that we have 2 of them in Seymour, and the first one said, oh, it's going to be a 2-hour wait. I probably should have waited because I went to the other one, which was actually affiliated with the hospital, and they got me right in, took care of me and everything, gave me a prescription, which I went and got filled, gave me a tetanus shot, and things went from good to worse. They gave me the wrong medicine, according to my doctor. This was about the time when my husband was over in Ohio with our middle son, getting some type of medical procedure. I don't remember if that was his colonoscopy or if that was his tooth being pulled. I can't remember which one at the time. But the fact remains, I was home alone. And I had taken this medicine, and I got up to go get ready to go out and take care of the animals. And the room was dizzy. I mean, the room was just spinning. And I had to lay back down. And I mean, I had to lay back down. I ended up on the floor, laying back down. And I managed to crawl back into bed, and I thought, what in the heck is wrong? You know, I couldn't even reach to call anybody at the time. So I just laid there for a while till the room stopped spinning, and I reached over very carefully, got my phone, called the doctor, and I said, something's wrong. And she asked what I was taking, and I told her. And she came back a little bit later, and she said, do not take any more of that medicine. And I go, okay, why? She goes, because it's not the right medicine. She goes, the medicine they gave me was something that's not even given anymore because of the side effects, the dizziness. So she said it should heal up on its own if I didn't take any more medicine. Well, it didn't. I ended up having to make an appointment with my regular doctor and going in and seeing him to find out what was wrong. So he gave me all these exercises to do to stop the dizziness. Thank goodness they all worked, and the medicine finally wore off. But this medicine was known to make you dizzy. You weren't supposed to go out in the sun with it. Well, I've been working outside in the greenhouse and outside in the sun, not knowing, because they didn't tell me. It wasn't written on the package. So anyway, he got me some medicine that did work, and my bites all healed up. My hand works. No problem. No scars, which was surprising, since I thought there would be scars all over. There is a slight scar on that small finger right through there, but most of them are not too bad. It was a really bad bite, and of course it was one of the cats that still needed to be taken in for the shot, and I couldn't take it in for another month after that because you have to wait 10 days and keep them quarantined and all that stuff if they're pets. And so everything worked out on that. He's fine. Prince is fine. No problem there. I did learn my lesson about the crates. Do not stack crates, especially the wire crates. Do not stack them on top of each other so the animals have to jump out of the crates. Don't do that. Make them on the floor so they can walk straight out. And that led to another expense because I bought the cats caticos. And they love them. I got 2 of them. 3 cats for each catico. Not decided whether I'm going to buy a 3rd one or not. That's kind of in the works. I'm thinking about it because I still got 3 crates out with 4 cats. And I think I can put 1 cat in with the other 3, I think. And then I would have the other 3 cats I could put together, maybe. Haven't decided about that yet. That's one of the things I'm still running around my mind as to what I'm going to do. Planted up the greenhouse, and then Bill started working on a new picnic table. I had a picnic table out in the garden, the red, white, and blue one, which I used all the time, but it was only like 3 or 4 years old from Home Depot, and it had basically rotted to pieces. So he was going to repair it, and one piece led to another piece, where he finally just decided it would be easier just to start over. So he just made me a brand new picnic table. In May, we had another round of bad news. Bill's little sister was diagnosed with breast cancer and had to go undergo radiation treatment and all that stuff. And of course, we worried about her, prayed about her. And happy to say, knock on wood, that at the Christmas party this year, she announced that she was, her test to show that she was free of cancer. So that was a very, very good blessing for everybody, especially her. We finished the picnic table, and that was, once he got it done, I stained it, and then I used marine varnish, which you cannot find around here. I had to order it from Amazon. And so I varnished it, and it's on the side table because I really need to varnish the legs yet, because I just varnished the top and the seats. I did not get the bottom legs because I ran out, and then the weather turned bad by the time it got here again. The second order got here, and I haven't gotten around to doing the legs yet. So it is on the side porch, keeping out of the weather. I did start a Purdue Peak project, and started that in June. I was hoping to get it done before the football season started, but by the time I got it done, the football season was most of the way over, and it was not a good football season. But I love the little Purdue, I can't say little, he's 4 foot tall, but I love the way he turned out. And so he's in the Purdue room now. We were going to put him outside as a permanent fixture in the Purdue area on the patio. Even though he's got marine varnish on him, I decided that it was too much work and he was too cute to put outside. And so he's inside, except for during football season. Then he's on the front porch rooting the Purdue teams on. So, see, we moved the wooden swing that I had on the side porch. We moved it up in the balcony, and the camping furniture that was out in the balcony, we moved out into the greenhouse because I needed, since we weren't putting the picnic table out there anymore, I still needed some chairs out there to set, because I'm the type of person that works until I'm exhausted, and then I have to sit down before I can get to the house. So I needed the chairs out there to sit down. So we moved the camping chairs that were out in the balcony, we moved out to the greenhouse. And that way I can put them out when I need them and fold them up and when I don't need them. So they're kind of, they're out there so I can use them when I need them. And we repaired the swing and put it up on the balcony, which is really kind of nice because I can now see over the railing, because the camping chairs, when I looked out, I just saw the railing. That's what I saw. I'd have to stretch up or hunker down to see what was going on the other side of the railing. But with the swing out there, I can actually look over the top of the railing, and it's a much more pleasant experience to be out on the balcony. And then the swing, instead of the just stationary chairs, is nice also. So I got that, and that opened up the side porch here so we could put those tables on. And we had to replace the piping in the geothermal, and we had a company from Indianapolis come in and do that. And we got some of the furniture that we stored in the basement that we didn't use. We brought that up and got rid of that. So we cleaned up a little bit in the basement. Not as much as I want to, but at least it was a good starting point. And I bought new filters and pumps for the outside goldfish pond, because I was tired of having to stick my hands into the water when the other filter would stop working, or when it would get to the point where the water became cloudy and you couldn't see through it. And I didn't like sticking my hand in water that I could not see what was in it, because we're known to have water snakes into that pond. And so I went and I got an external filter, which means I could just flip open the lid, pull out the filter, wash it off, put it back in, and not have to pull it out from underneath the water. Now the other filter is still there. I'm using that for the waterfall, but I don't mind sticking my hand in and pulling it out in the summer because the water's crystal clear and I can see what's in there. And we end up with putting in 7 goldfish, and by the end of the year we had 15. So they seem to be really enjoying this new setup with the clear water and the water lilies. And the water lilies are now in buckets instead of just being planted on the bottom. They're actually planted into buckets. So that gives the fish a little bit more hiding spaces between the buckets. So that's good for them, and they're enjoying it really well. I bought the calicos for the cats in July, and that's when I started buying the flea collars for them. And shoes had gotten much worse by this time. She was not being able to use her back legs at all. She was just scooting across the floor. She was still alert. She still wanted to go outside. She still wanted to sniff around. She would still try to tell me that she had to go to the bathroom, but she wouldn't be able. By the time we got the body sling on her, body harness on her to take her out, we sometimes had to use the pee pads. And she was still being able to use the wheelchair at this time, but that would soon end. Most of July was taken up with trying to harvest crops, working at the apartments on different water issues that we had, but mainly it was taking care of her. From July until November, she was the priority. I did not get a lot of the harvest done that I was supposed to have done because I just ran out of time. She was priority. Had to get her up, had to get her out, had to get her fed, and this time she had developed a growth on her lip, so she had trouble eating dry food. And sometimes if she broke that open, she wouldn't be able to eat out of her bowl at all. So we transferred her to a plate. Then she couldn't eat out of the plate very well. So I was spoon feeding her like a toddler. Just putting the food from the canned dog food onto a spoon, and she was eating it that way. Now, if you know how long it takes to hand feed a toddler, think about hand feeding a German Shepherd from a can of food 4 times a day. Plus, I was washing the pee pads once a day. And I had to treat her. I had to give her medicine. Since she was having that one leg was completely paralyzed at this point, the other one back leg was getting weaker and weaker so that she couldn't stand up very well, which meant that every time she did use the bathroom, I would have to wash her off. I have to dilute that urine so that it didn't make sores on her. Plus, if she couldn't turn over on her own, I had to make sure that every 4 hours she was turned so that she wouldn't develop any sores or bed sores or anything. So most of my time was taken up with her. And she was a very smart dog, and she taught me how to listen to her subtle hints. When she wanted water, she would try to scoot to it, and as she would get tired, she would look at me and look at the water, look at me and look at the water. At this point, she had lost her voice. She could not howl anymore. Her voice was very, very weak, but she still barked, but it was a weak voice, a weak bark. So she would give me a little bark, just a little one, and I would know that she was tired, she wanted water, and she was asking me to help her. And same thing with going out the door. She would start looking at the door and looking at me and looking at the door, and that would be my way, her way of telling me, hey, I can't get to the door to ring the bell anymore, but I really need to go outside. So I would have to help her go, get ready to go outside. And so a lot of time was taken with her. And I'm not regretting any minute of it because, like I said, she was smart, she was intelligent, she wanted to do things, she was a fighter, she fought until the very end. And so we got a lot done with her. I gotta take a break. So a lot of time was spent taking care of her, and I don't regret any of it. I would do it all over again. She was so smart, she's very intelligent, right up to the end. I mean, the week before she actually passed, which was in November, she was learning how to drink water from a water bottle because she couldn't lap it up anymore. She couldn't get her head, and she couldn't tilt it to the point where she could actually lap the water up very well. So she was learning to drink from a bottle. You'd pour the water and she would just drink it. How many dogs can learn that? But yeah, she was a smart dog, and I do miss her. But going back to what we did in August, I bought another calico, the second one, and we kept him out on the side porch until it got cold, and then we moved him into the garage. We helped with the Lions Club, their t-shirt sales for the Scoop the Loop event. And we attended the museum gala for our local museum. And for my birthday, my husband got me a rowing machine, which was what I requested to add to our home gym. And we still go to the gym 3 times a week, but doctors recommended that I exercise 4 times a week. And there's no way I was going to go to the gym 4 days a week. And of course, I really haven't had much time to use the rowing machine since I got it because of the increased time I had to spend taking care of shoes. And then the cats also. They have to be on medication. Some of them have to get medication every month for 5 days. I had my choice. He gave me a choice. Either give them medicine 5 days each month, twice a week each, all year round, or just treat them as needed. So I kind of go between the 5 days and as needed. I'll treat them as needed for 5 days. And if they don't get better in 5 days, then I can treat them longer, up to 14 days. So I only have like 4 cats that I've been doing this to. 2 of them were really in poor health when I found them. And it's taken quite a long time to overcome their health issues. And I think we're on the right path with that. They still get runny noses, and they still blow out some red snot at times, but when they do that, that's when I treat them. And we seem to be doing better. I haven't had to treat them in the month of December at all, so that was good. And so anyway, that's been going on, and we added the curtains to the outside side porch, mainly to protect the. I did it first of all because I wanted to have a buffer between this door and the outside, because that's where I kept her wheelchair, on the side porch, and we would take her out there, and that's where I would hook her up. So I wanted to be able to hook her up in an area that was not windy or rainy or wet in the winter. So we bought the curtains for that purpose. And also I thought if I had to keep the cats out there, I could keep, it would keep the wind off of them as well. Now we went ahead and put them up even after we lost her, because we want to protect the picnic tables now. And I had already bought the curtains, and I've always wanted curtains out there. So the curtains are out, and I love them. I enjoy them. this summer we'll plan on extending the patio out there so we can put both picnic tables on the patio. And I will put the furniture that's on the patio right now, I'll put it on the porch so we'll have a place to sit comfortably. And we can pull the curtains when it's pretty, open them, and when it's rainy and wet, we can close them. So I'm looking forward to sitting out there this summer. What else we do? Oh, our other patio, our enclosed patio, one of the doors shattered. I have no idea why it shattered. My glasses keep going crazy. I have no idea why it shattered. I walked out there one morning and I thought maybe the cats had gotten loose out of the catio because I heard something, it sounded like it was knocking over and breaking. And I thought, oh, what are the cats getting into? And I looked around and I saw it wasn't the cats at all. It was the outside patio door was just shattering. It was just cracking and breaking. And no one was there. It just happened. And it took us almost 2 months to get the replacement door. They had to contact the company, make sure it was out of warranty before they could even order it. And then they ordered it, and we had pictures of the door. We showed them which way was inside, which way was outside, where the handles were, because we get confused with right handle and left handle. What I think is right-handed, somebody else might say it's left-handed. So we wanted to make sure that the guy knew exactly what we were ordering. And he ordered the wrong door. We got it. We brought it home, took it out of the casing, looked at it, looked at the door that was replacing, and go, oh, gosh. So we had to take it back. And the problem was, when they ordered the new door, and called, that was when my truck broke down. So he had to rent a truck or borrow a truck to go up and pick up the door. And at least it was the right door this time. So we got the door replaced in the patio. But that took all the way into December. And the thing shattered in October. So that tells you how long it took for that door to get replaced. And luckily, it was just the outside glass that shattered. The inside glass was okay. So the house was still secure, but the door was broke, And then on top of that, the cats damaged the screen because he was pulling the screen, which he had never done before. He was pulling the screen to help protect the blinds from breaking the other part of the glass. So the cats destroyed the screen. So now I have to replace the screen door, the sliding screen part that goes to that door. And the fact also that someone ran into it when they were walking out of the door, forgetting it was there, and bent the thing out of shape. So that screen part will have to be either worked on or replaced. And then the kitchen window, it was broken, so we had to replace it. But that was an easy replace. We just called Anderson Company up, and they sent it right up, and we had it within the next, 2 days later, we had the window in and up from the day we ordered it. So they were really quick on the ball. We had to start moving the furniture out of the front room, piece by piece, because of Shu's having trouble maneuvering around. She got caught underneath the blue recliner. She got caught underneath it, and she wasn't moving when I came down and found her. She had just given up, and I had to pick up that blue recliner right there, that one right there. She got caught underneath there. And I had to pick that chair up off of her. It wasn't on her weight-wise. She's just gotten her front part of her body wedged underneath of it. And since she couldn't use her back legs to push out, she was stuck. And I don't know how long she had been stuck there, but it was enough for her to have given up. There was blood on the chair from where she had beaten her head up against that metal compartment, and that's when she cut her lip, and I think it was prod flesh, whatever formed around that. And so I had to move that out, this furniture out first. Had to move it out so as not to worry about her getting caught in it. Had to put pillows up against the fireplace. So I bought big pillows I had big pillows for that. I put those up there against that so she wouldn't hit her head against the fireplace if she happened to fall. And I had to, any cracks or crevices between furniture and walls, I had to put foam rubber or, those rubber noodles. Had to stick them there so she wouldn't be able to, or anything like a stick in between the furniture and the wall so she couldn't get her head stuck between those. And I found that she had, one day I came down here and she was behind his chair and had her head stuck between the chair and the fireplace. And so we were having to watch her constantly. She was still alert. She still knew what she was doing. She was just having trouble maneuvering. And then this was about the middle of October that I noticed she was starting to have trouble with her front foot. It wasn't supporting her weight as much. So she would be walking along outside. Of course, I would always have the body harness on her, the lift harness on her to help her on the back. But I noticed I had to have the complete harness on her now, front and back, because her front leg would give out, which meant she could not use the wheelchair anymore because you couldn't take the chance of her falling with that front leg and tipping over the whole wheelchair because that could have injured her back or something. So I could not use the wheelchair anymore at that point. And we knew our time was getting shorter. Did not want to accept it, but we knew it was getting shorter. And then on, I guess it was the week before Thanksgiving. Well, 1st of November, our middle son, his job was eliminated, downsized, but luckily the main company hired him back a higher paying job with a remote position so he could work from home. And so he was not without a job basically for only 2 days between the day that he got, his job was terminated and the next day, or a couple of days later, his other job took effect. So that worked out fine. And it worked out nice that he could come home and spend some time here at the house for Thanksgiving and Christmas because he could work remotely. And he came home the week again before Thanksgiving. And we were sitting here on that Sunday visiting. He came home that Saturday, and that Sunday we were home visiting. And I noticed that Shoes was having trouble moving. And she actually kind of fell over on her backside, almost rode over. And I went over and talked to her right away because this is one thing about this dog. She was very intelligent, but she was scared to death to row over. And this happened after, basically when she got spayed. I guess she must have rode over or something when she was coming out. But anyway, she was scared. She was always scared whenever she rode over. So I went over there and talked to her and told her everything was okay, not to be scared, and helped her up. And I didn't think anything else of it until a couple of minutes later. We noticed that she wasn't getting up like she wanted to. She was trying, but she wasn't able to get up. That front leg just was not working. And at first I thought, maybe she heard it when she rode over, because she rode over next to the fireplace. And, I thought, think in my head, did she hit the fireplace with her shoulder when she went over or not? Did the pillow move? So I didn't think much of it that night, because I got her sitting back up and she sat up fine. And then the next morning I came down and she was in the exact same spot that I left her in that night before. So I knew that was not right. And like I said before in another video, I can smell the change in the chemicals of her body. And I knew she was leaving us. But I did not know it was going to take 2 weeks. Bill and I both slept in these recliners. I slept in this one. He slept in his for the next 2 weeks. Thanksgiving was not a pleasant thing. We managed to get through it. And it was not the big meal that we normally had. Only our middle son was the only one that can make it home. Older son came down that weekend, which was nice because that meant he got to say goodbye to her, because we told him that we didn't think she was going to make it. She was trying. She was still trying. She was still raising her head. She was still wanting to set up. And then the next, our middle son was going to go back that Sunday, but he got bronchitis, so he stayed another week, which was good because he was very helpful. He was still working from home at the time, but he was still being able to help with the different things that we had to do. And she passed on that Friday after Thanksgiving. Not the Friday directly after Thanksgiving, but the Friday after that, she passed. She was alert right up until the very end, and she went up to drink some water, and I helped her up. She actually was able to drink out of the bowl. She took 2 drinks. She looked around at us, and at me, because I was the only one down here at the time. My husband came in the door. She looked over at the door, and I started to lay her back down, and I saw her eyes go lifeless. And I yelled at my husband. I said, "She's leaving." And he came in, and three breaths later, she was gone. So that was a very hard November for us. Very hard. And December. It was December the 6th that November. December the 6th, yeah. It's January, right? Yeah. December the 6th that she passed at 2:27 in the afternoon. And I sat with her for 4 hours while he dug a grave for her. Kind of hoping, kind of wishing that she'd come back. Maybe it's not really true, but it was. And then I had to clean everything up. I had to clean everything. Next day I came down, and I could still smell death. And even that Monday I came down, and I go, nope, I gotta clean. I could smell it yet. So I shampooed the carpet twice, cleaned this room completely. I washed the walls, took all the pictures down, rearranged furniture, just did anything I could. In fact, I had to have him take her stuff down. I couldn't handle her stuff. And he took her stuff down the basement, and her bed's outside so they could get air out. And I moved the tree so that it took up her spot so I wouldn't be staring at her spot. Moved the furniture around. Just changed the look of the room just so I could not remember things the way they were. We'll put up a little memorial for her. I did keep her orange coat, her collar, and her picture is over there. And Doug got me a sweet little plaque that is above it for memorial. So I got that little memorial over there for her. But I started cleaning the house. And I decided I wasn't going to make cookies. I really had decided I wasn't going to make cookies. I just couldn't handle it. I wanted this part and the foyer clean. These were her 2 areas. I wanted those cleaned. I wanted her toys out of the way. I wanted all of her things that were wet that had to be washed. I wanted those upstairs and washed, and I wanted that pee smell and that urine smell, that ammonia smell. I wanted it out of the house. I wanted that sweet, sickly death smell out of the house. I had to get those things out before I could even think about cookies or anything. So I spent that whole week cleaning and got all that done. And the boys said that they really did want cookies. They would help me make cookies. And I said, okay. So Doug was supposed to come home on Saturday. So I started making cookies on Saturday, thinking that when he gets home, he could help make them. Unfortunately, when he got home, his back was out. That poor kid cannot hardly even move. So Bill was in town at the time when Doug got home. So I ended up basically unloading his car for him. He tried to carry stuff in. And, he did a good job. He did a good job carrying in as bad as his back was. But still, his back was so bad. And I told him not to worry about the cookies. I had them most of the way done anyway. And he just laid down and sat and relaxed a little bit with the heating pad on and stuff, trying to get his back to stop hurting. So I finished the cookies and then we went to church on Sunday. He stayed home in bed with his back. And then on Monday, I did do the Santa Claus cookies because those were the ones that he really wanted. So I did do those. And like I said, the house was smelling okay. It was back to the original no smell house. And I was happy with it. It smelled clean. It felt clean. So I had no problem doing the cookies and making Christmas dinner. And we had a good time Christmas. We didn't go caroling. That happened right after the week after she died. So I missed that. That was our church group. I skipped that because I just could not sing through tears. I couldn't do it. But we went to the Christmas party, and unfortunately, they're talking like this might have been the last New Year's Eve Christmas party of everybody getting together. The person who's in charge of it has had it for the last 10 years, decided that he doesn't want to do it anymore. And I don't know if anybody else is going to pick it up and do it. So it may be the last one of our extended family getting together, which is kind of sad. And another thing that was sad was I found out that a friend of ours found out he had colon cancer. And he is such a nice guy that really, I didn't even get to talk to him. He told Bill, because I was home with shoes at the time that, this happened. And of course, he's undergoing treatment now. And he's a quiet person that likes to stay to himself. He's kind of like me. You have a few good friends, but you're not really super, super sociable where you're out there making friends with everybody. I mean, I know people who do that. I have friends who are so sociable that, they want to be around people. They're happier around people. He and I are just not that type of people. We like people, we get along with people, but we're just as happy to be by ourselves too. So that's the type of person he is. He's the type that likes to keep his problems to himself. And it was really an honor that he told us that he had this. And I'm not giving any names or anything, just for out of respect for him. So if he could use your prayers, just say he's my friend. The Lord will know who you're talking about. And then on top of that, we find out that Doug's best friend, Jason, his wife, Megan, was doing just fine. And then all of a sudden, she started feeling weak and dizzy. She went and told her Jason she needed to go into the ER. He needed to take her into the hospital because she was having trouble with her dizziness. And turns out she has AML, which is acute leukemia, the worst type of leukemia that you can have. And she's fighting that now. She's in treatment now. And she could use your prayers also. She's got a twin boy and girl. I think they're about 8 years old now. I think maybe a little bit older. And they're not being able to go and see her because of the treatment. She's in the cancer center, and they do not allow anybody under 18 to go in. So they're not going to be able to see their mom for the 6 weeks at least that they have, or 4 to 6 weeks that she's going to be in treatment. So that's going to be really rough on them. So they can use your prayers. So it's been a rough November, December. A lot of things happened November, December this year. So that was our year. It did not end on a good note. So hopefully we are starting 2025 on a better note. Hopefully. Our middle son was supposed to go back on the Saturday after Christmas. Well, he ended up staying the next 3 days because he didn't get very much sleep after hearing about his best friend's wife. It just kind of bothered him, and so he's had to stay. And he had to stay until New Year's. He left and went back to his apartment on New Year's Day because that was the day he had off that he could travel. So he went back to his apartment, and he's safely back there now. And now, so far in January, last December, 1st of January, I have continued clean. I got the small bathroom down here cleaned. Got the dining room almost done. It's taken a little bit longer than what I expected. I had given myself a whole week to do it. And got most of it done. And then realized that 2 of the blinds that were broken. Found out 2, possibly 3 windows also have holes in them where they've gotten hit by something. That they're going to have to be replaced. Have not got to the 4th window yet to check it yet. All of our stuff, all my Christmas gifts and stuff got kind of piled in the corner there. So I got 3/4 of the room done. And now I'm working on that 4th corner, 4th wall. And they had all my Christmas presents in, so I had to take all those up. I did that yesterday. I took the Christmas presents upstairs, put those away. The boys have got me solar spotlights for the greenhouse. So yesterday, Bill and I put those up into the greenhouse. They're going to be great help adding a lot of light to the greenhouse. I mean, they light up the whole place. And they're solar, so I don't have to run electricity out there. And got 1 in each of the greenhouses. The 2 in the main greenhouses are attached to the greenhouse. The one in the herb house is just on the potting bench right now because we're going to redo that greenhouse this spring, and so we'll mount it when we redo it. But there's no need to mount it now, then take it down, then mount it back again. And the other one is mounted on the back of the house, shining out towards Josie's coop. That way I can go out there without having to go out with flashlights and stuff. I'll have lights all the way out there with the 2 other lights that we have going out there. So that's good. And then I took the rest of the garden stuff, put it where it was supposed to be at. The only thing I've got to do now is I've got to go through the tools. Which kind of put my tools, just been laying them on the floor there because we've been using them so much. So I need to figure out where I'm going to put them at before I can finish cleaning that part and get to that window. And then I'll have that room, have to wash the chandelier, the lighting fixture. I'll have to clean that yet, and then mop the floor, and then that room will be done. And then I'll either probably do underneath the staircase next, and then work my way into the nook. I had cleaned the kitchen and the nook off before I did the cookies, but I didn't really deep clean either that room, which means I will pull out all the dishes and go through and wipe down the cabinets and do all that stuff. Will be the next week. But I'm trying to get the house clean. Best time to do it is during the winter when you can't do anything outside before we start in the grow room, which I'll be starting onions in the next week or so. But right now, this week mainly, we're trying to get prepared for this cold weather that they say is coming. They're predicting anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of snow and ice in our area. So this week I've been working on getting things ready outside. That's the reason the dining room is taking so long, is because I'm taking a break from the dining room to do the stuff out there to get it ready. I had to finish pulling all the the plants from the low greenhouse. I had to pull all those. And we already had the high greenhouse done, but I had to get the low greenhouse done. And then I had to set the heaters up in there, and so that we don't heat because of the plants. I put the heaters on when we get snow and ice. It kind of heats up the air inside the greenhouse, which helps to keep the snow and the ice from accumulating on top of the greenhouse, because the plastic will get a little bit warmer and it will keep it from freezing so much, and you can just kind of tap it and it'll slide down. The snow and ice will slide off the top. Where if you don't keep that inside warm, then it's harder to get the snow and the ice off of the top. And with that high greenhouse, there's no way I can get the ice off the top of it. With the low greenhouse, I can use a soft garage broom and just sweep it off. But I can't reach the top of the high ones, so I have to rely on the heaters and the sun for that. So I got those taken care of, and that's the reason we wanted to put the solar lights out there, because if we have to go out in the middle of the night, we don't want to be using flashlights trying to decide what to do. So these lights light up the whole place, and I've got them set so they stay lit the whole time there's movement out there. If you quit moving, 30 seconds after you quit moving, they're going to quit working. But move again, they'll come on again. So they'll be good for out there. Plus, I'll be able to work out there later at night, because that's one thing I had problems with last year. By the time I got to take the gym and taking care of the animals and stuff to go out there and harvest, it was already dark and I couldn't see what I was doing, So with the solar lights, that will help give me more time to spend in the greenhouse. If I have to stay there after dark, I can. So that's going to be helpful. The other thing I've done is I cleaned out the fish pond here, and we had to take the filter, the exterior filter, had to take it out and put it in the enclosed porch because it can't be out, it can't get froze. And then I put the de-icer in, and the de-icer it won't heat up the whole pond. It just heats up an area around the de-icer itself to keep an opening for the gases of the pond to escape and for oxygen to get into for the fish. So between that de-icer and the waterfall, which I've still got going, hopefully we'll have an opening for the fish. Last year the waterfall did freeze up at one point, and I had to go around and put some boiling water in and open the hole for the fish. So hopefully by having the de-icer in there, I won't have to use the hot water this year. So I got that taken care of. I'm Check the plastic around Josie's coop. It's as good as it's going to get. You don't want it completely around it because you need oxygen. They need airflow. So one side is open, or two sides are open, but her coop area with a box in part that has a lot of good straw in it now. Fresh straw. I have fresh straw on the bottom area so that she wants to come down. She won't be walking in frozen, wet, muddy area. It'll be straw so she can get to her water. I got the electric water bow in there inside that run, and the food's inside that run. And both are topped off just in case I can't get out there. If it freezes shut and I can't open the door, I won't have to worry about trying to break open that door because she'll have water and food in there. And the best part is I can still add water using a watering can. I can add water as needed through the wire, and I can add food through the back if I need to. So I can still water and feed her, and if her door gets frozen shut. So I had to make sure all that was working and test all that stuff out. The cats are in the garage in the calico. They've got a heater in the garage, so they're going to be able to stay warm. I'll leave them out if the temperature is above freezing and if it's not icy and snowy. But if it's below freezing, they might as well stay in because all they're going to do is, I know this for a fact, they're going to go to the side porch where the curtains are. And there's another dog bed there that's basically for them. They're all going to curl up on that bed, and that's where they're going to stay. So they might as well stay in the heated garage and stay well and healthy than to be out on the side porch in the cold. So I think I got everything outside prepared and ready. I still have to do some trimming and stuff, but that won't be done until February. Right now we're just working on getting through this polar vortex that they're calling for. We got the firewood stacked up near the house, ready to be brought in. We got some inside for, already ready and just waiting to be lit. And the fireplace and the wood stove, both. I've filled up water jugs for water for the animals in case the electric goes out. I'll have water for them. I got plenty of fresh water for us that we bought for us to drink. So I think we're as good as we're going to get. So remember, if we do get this cold weather, do yourself a favor. Make sure you have your pantry stocked with foods that you can open and eat without having to be heated. Or if you want to have heat to heat your food, make sure you have little camping stoves that run on propane, little propane camping stoves. Get one of those just to have. If you have a fireplace, get some cast iron skillets and stuff. You can use those in the fireplaces, on the coals and stuff, or even on the open fire. So make sure you have ways to heat the food if you want to heat. We're lucky about that. That upstairs wood stove that we have, I made sure it had a cooking unit on it. So all you have to do is open up the top grills and you have a cooking surface. So I can cook anytime I need to up there with my cast iron skillets. So, and also we have the grill out on the outside that we can use. It's got the propane. So if you have to use your outdoor grill to cook food, do that too. Just do it safely. Make sure you have plenty of water on hand. Fill up a couple of jars or go buy a couple of gallons of water just to have on hand, just in case. Make sure you have enough food for yourself and for your pets. Make sure if you have outdoor animals, make sure that they have windbreaks, either old tarps hung up or plastic, thick plastic, 6 milliliter plastic around to help them as a windbreak. plenty of straw to help them keep warm. Excuse me. And firewood, if you have fireplace, make sure you have firewood. Make sure you have plenty of propane if you have propane heaters. If you do use propane heaters, make sure they're the ones that can be used in the house and not the ones that are for camping, for outside only. Kerosene heaters the same way. Make sure you have the type that are used inside. Make sure that you vent anything. No matter what heater you use, open a window just a little bit. I know it sounds odd that you're trying to stay warm and you're opening a window, but either open the window and have a carbon monoxide alarm. I have one down here. I have one upstairs. One by the fireplace and one by the wood stove. Also, have a way to put out a fire. Extra water, fire blankets, those emergency things that you throw onto the fire to smother it. Fireballs, those are just they kind of look like that. I don't know if you can see it, that orange thing in the corner. That's not one of them, but that's kind of what they look like. You throw those onto the fire, and they have powders inside of them that puts the fire out. They've got one upstairs. And so make sure you have some way of putting the fire out. A fire extinguisher, if you have a fire extinguisher, make sure that the fire extinguisher is up to date and that you know how to use it, because they do expire. Make sure you have plenty of water and food. Blankets, make sure you have blankets. If your electric goes out, try to stay within one room. Try to heat that one room only. Put towels underneath the doors to keep the air inside, keep the warm air inside as much as possible. Just be safe. Don't go out if you don't have to. Especially if you get the ice. Stay in. If there's a weather emergency and they tell you to stay off the road, then try to stay off the road as much as possible. Make sure you have extra medicine that you need. Make sure you have aspirins, cold medicines, and first aid kits. Make sure you have all these things. Flashlights, candles, rechargeable. If you have rechargeable things, make sure that you have a way of getting them recharged, either by solar or by recharging. I charge everything up now. I do have a solar charger, but I have everything charged up now, ready to go. My heated vests are charged up. My hand warmers are charged up. All my lights are charged up. Everything, and my power station's charged up. Everything that can be charged is charged and ready to go. Also, make sure you open up the cabinet doors underneath your cabinets if they have water pipes running to them, so that the warm air can get to those pipes. Leave the water dripping a little bit if you can. I usually end up filling up a bunch of any water jugs that I have that are empty. I fill those up. And if they're really predicting a really bad storm, like what they are this time, 6 to 12 inches, I will be filling up one of the bathtubs with water and a bucket up here, so that I can have water to flush the pots. I will not use any of my drinking water for that purpose, but I will get water in the bathtub. Actually, after I take my bath, I think we're supposed to come in Sunday night. So when I get through with the bath on Sunday, I will leave the water in there overnight or until my next bath. And that way I'll have water available to flush pots and to wash hands and do just things that you can do with gray water. So that is my plan. So hopefully you have a plan in space. Plan in space. I hope you have a plan. I hope you have a plan in mind as to how you're going to handle any bad weather that we have this winter. And if you must travel, throw in some water. in your car. Put in a sleeping bag or a bunch of blankets to keep warm. Throw in some high energy snacks, high calorie snacks. I know they're not the healthiest in the world, but if you're freezing cold, you need as many calories as possible to warm yourself up. So put in some high calorie, unmeltable snacks, because cars do get warm when you have the heaters on. So make sure they're not the type that's going to be a melty mess. And stay off the roads if you don't have to. Make sure you have emergency flares, some way to alert people that you need help, and be safe. So, dream big, follow that dream, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.